Okay, well, welcome and excuse me.
God bless you.
Of all the times to get something in your throat just when you're starting to do a talk. Sorry about that. Welcome to the April Academy session of the North American Unitarian Association. The NAUA is dedicated to supporting and promoting the practice of liberal religion by embracing freedom, reason, and tolerance rooted, excuse me. All right, enough of that. Um, Rooted in our commitment to the inherent worth and dignity of every person and all people. The NAU Academy, of which this is one of their sessions, offers monthly programs on issues of concern in contemporary society and within our liberal religious perspective. My name is Terry Anderson, and I am a member of the NAU Academy Board, and I live in Edmonton, Alberta. I see most of you already added your name, but it's with your location after your name. It's always nice to see where people are coming from. Today's presenter is Anna Ikeda, the UN representative of Soka Gakkai International, or SGI. SGI is an NGO based in Japan promoting peace, culture, and education with representative organizations in 90 countries. I like their website that says they are Buddhism in action for peace. And I'm sure we'll hear more about SGI. Anna's work centers around disarmament, particularly nuclear abolition and the stopping of killer robots. Anna was born and went to school in Japan and educated in Singapore, USA, and Argentina, and now lives in the United States. Anne is also a student of nonviolence for close to 10 years and currently serves on the board of the Meta Center for Nonviolence. Welcome, Anna. We are delighted and we're honored actually to have you present for us. You will note that we are recording in Russian and Fraser is our able technical support today. The presentation will be approximately 1 hour and that recording will be available soon on the NAU website, naunitarians.org. For those joining us live, we will move to a question and answer period for roughly 30 minutes and perhaps a breakout room afterwards. During Anna's presentation, I ask that you all remain muted. Anna, yes. So without further ado, let me turn the virtual forum over to Anna. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Terry, and thank you so much, everybody, for making the time to join us today. It's such an honor to be here. Let me share my screen quick. Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. I see the thumbs up. Thank you very much. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for inviting me to your academy today. And as mentioned, my name is Anna Ikeda, and I'm the representative to the UN for disarmament of Soka Gakkai International, or SGI. And I practice Buddhism with Soka Gakkai, which is a global community-based Buddhist organization that promotes peace, culture, and education. Centered on the respect for the dignity of life. And the Soka Gakkai International, SGI, is a non-governmental organization, and it has been in consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council, UN ECOSOC, since 1983. And I specifically work for the SGI's Office for UN Affairs, and our mandate is to engage in certain UN processes like nuclear disarmament on behalf of the Soka Gakkai members around the world, guided by our Buddhist philosophy. Advance the slide. So my organization's commitment to the abolition of nuclear weapons started in 1957, actually, when the president of the Soka Gakkai organization at that time Josei Toda was his name, and you see him standing in the picture. He made a public declaration calling for the abolition of nuclear weapons in front of 50,000 young people in Japan. And he pointed out that nuclear weapons are a manifestation of our darkest human tendencies. And he even said that, everyone who would consider using them should be considered devil incarnate. And he strongly condemned human tendencies to, I guess, justify such abuse of power or to subjugate human beings to such suffering under any circumstances, no matter what the reason. And it truly became the foundation of our peace work. We also work in other thematic areas in my office. So we have staff that works on environment and sustainability, for example, or human rights education and gender equality and women's empowerment. Our Soka Gakkai members around the world also engage in peace activities at grassroots levels through their national and local organizations, including activities like exhibition showings, symposiums, petition campaigns, film screens, etc. So we are socially engaged Buddhism. And for us, the purpose of our faith is not just our own individual happiness, but also to transform society and our world into a more peaceful, sustainable future where each person's dignity is respected. So I feel like there's so much commonality between, my belief and your organization's goals. Our faith activities are also community-based. So let's say if you're a Soka Gakkai member in anywhere in the world, pretty much, generally you would participate in a monthly small group meeting, which usually happens in your neighborhood, depending on where you live. And it's called discussion meetings, where members and friends come together to pray together and discuss different topics from Buddhist perspectives. And we believe that, such interactive dialogues rooted in our inner transformation is the most fundamental way to transform society. So our peace activities are also based on this, belief in dialogue and also our own inner transformation. So now shifting the gear toward today's topic of nuclear abolition. And I again thank you so much, because I know that's a topic that some people may feel like, maybe distant to your life or may not know what to expect. So I really appreciate your interest in joining us today. But in the beginning, I just wanted to go over some basic facts about nuclear weapons so we can be all on the same page. So today, there are approximately 12,000 nuclear warheads in the world, which are in possession by 9 countries. That's United States, of course, and then Russia, China, United Kingdom, and France. Those are the 5 permanent members of the United Nations as well. And then in addition to those 5, we have Pakistan and India, North Korea and Israel, although Israel technically has not publicly acknowledged that they possess nuclear weapons. And majority of those 12,000 nukes are possessed by the US and Russia. And when I say majority, the 2 countries combined have over 10,000 out of the 12,000 nuclear weapons in the world. Now, the good news is that the number is significantly lower than during the Cold War period, when there were over 60,000 of the nuclear weapons at their peak. The bad news is that the current nuclear weapons are so much more powerful than those dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. So for example, the atomic bombs used in Hiroshima and Nagasaki had an explosive yield equivalent to approximately 15 kilotons and 21 kilotons of TNT, respectively. And as you might know, they killed more than 140,000 people in Hiroshima and 70,000 people in Nagasaki, with just 15 kilotons and 21 kilotons of TNT. And then, of course, many more people died later in later years, while some people, including their children and grandchildren, continue to suffer from health effects of radiation, not to mention psychological trauma, and also grieving the loss of their loved ones. Now, today's nuclear weapons, even the ones called tactical, meaning basically, they are designed to be used in battlefields, maybe even in a country that are friendly to us if needed. They are actually several times more powerful than those used in 1945. And some of the most destructive nuclear arsenals today are said to be more than 80 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. So you can just imagine what kind of devastation, they could cause if they are used in war or even by accident. And of course, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they were not the only places where nuclear weapons have been detonated. So hundreds of nuclear tests have been conducted in places like Algeria, Australia, French Polynesia, Marshall Islands, and Kazakhstan. And the United States conducted 210 above ground nuclear weapons tests between 1945 and 1962 with the Nevada test site, which actually, I live in Las Vegas, if you can see my name, and Nevada test site is just about, I would say, 65 or 70 miles northwest of Las Vegas, where I live. So that was one of the, that was the major location, accounting for 100 nuclear tests out of the 210 above ground nuclear tests conducted in the US. And they affected and costed the health of countless people who are called downwinders. And if you would like to learn more information, I would definitely recommend going to the ICANN website, which you can see the link there. Now, this January, which was about 3 months ago, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists set its doomsday clock, which is their metaphor of, describing the world situation and how close we are to midnight, which is basically, catastrophic end to our world. And they set it at 89 seconds to midnight, which is the closest it has ever been to catastrophe. And many, factors contributed to it, but, there has been an increase in the threats of the use of nuclear weapons in the last few years, especially with the ongoing wars in Ukraine and Gaza, where national leaders would comment that basically they are not ruling out the possibility of using nuclear weapons, for example. And of course, with the rising tensions in some regions and shifting political climates, some countries in places like Europe and Asia are also hinting their considerations for developing their own nuclear capabilities. So this is really concerning, and it's a dangerous trend. And I think, at the core of such developments is this belief that nuclear weapons keep us safe. And, of course, this is not to discredit people's sentiment that, they feel their lives and their security are threatened because of some countries' actions. But I think, there is this basic premise of nuclear deterrence, which informs us that a country must maintain superior nuclear capabilities to deter potential attack. So it hinges on the capacity to threaten massive retaliation in order to discourage potential adversaries from initiating attacks or engaging in actions that could lead to conflict. But you can see how such a strategy could easily lead to escalation and an uncontrollable arms race. So my organization, together with many individuals and groups that have been working toward nuclear disarmament, question such a security system that basically risks destruction of our current human civilization in our planet. So in addition, as we know, many lives have been sacrificed in the name of national security. Governments were well aware of the human and environmental impacts of nuclear testing, and yet those people are considered dispensable in the name of developing those arsenals for national security. So we must really ask ourselves, whose security is being protected and at what cost. And in fact, nuclear weapons can destroy our planet and everything we hold dear. So my organization believes that one nuclear weapon is one too many. And they are, the weapons of mass destruction that would kill tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people and destroy cities. And those are just the immediate impacts, right? But there are many scientific studies, for example, to date, that details the impact of limited nuclear exchange on our climate, triggering what experts call a nuclear winter, and affecting the world's food production and would result in billions of people dying of starvation. Um, and nuclear weapons, nuclear weapon states actually they themselves do acknowledge that nuclear war cannot be won and therefore should not be fought. And they argue that their arsenals are simply, they play a preventative role, if you will. Yet the 9 nuclear weapon states spend enormous amount of resources on developing and maintaining those weapons. So in 2023, the world's 9 nuclear armed states spent a combined 91.4 billion on their nuclear arsenals, which was a 13% increase from the previous year, with the United States accounting for the largest share. So just imagine, how such resources can be better spent on urgent global, national, and local issues such as climate change, healthcare, education, and food security. In addition to those costs of nuclear weapons on our health, environment, and economic resources, as people of faith, we need to look at the moral cost of those catastrophic weapons. Professor Elaine Scarry at Harvard University wrote an article last September, which looked at the analysis of a former commander-in-chief of the U.S. Strategic Command, General Lee Butler, who later, in his career became a critique of nuclear deterrence. And that article says, even before any missiles are launched or populations are slain, deterrence destroys the minds and souls of those who have to bandy about the word deterrence. Butler worries that Cavalier reference to killing millions of people must harm anyone speaking that way. And I really think that's a true moral cost to our humanity. And I think we really have to think about is that kind of the security we want to build, we want to live under. So I spoke a little bit about nuclear deterrence and how that's such a strongly held belief in our society. Yet in reality, it adds to our insecurities by escalating tensions and encouraging nuclear arms race. I also spoke a little bit about the impacts of nuclear weapons on people's health, climate, our economy, pretty much every aspect of our existence. So I hope you can see that, if we aim to abolish nuclear weapons, we need to fundamentally transform the way we think about security. And this issue is not just a political issue that's left for some select people in the government. And I'm not going to talk about what type of government or what type of leaders. I feel like there's no good hands for nuclear weapons. But I think it's an issue that affects all of us. And it's a moral and ethical issue that fundamentally affects who we are as species. So because of that, I'm really glad that I'm speaking to you today, as I believe that as a liberal religious organization, NAUA's values would also be consistent with abolishing such catastrophic weapons. And people of faith have been engaged in nuclear disarmament movement for many decades. You can see in the pictures, our activities range from protests to prayer vigils to interfaith statements and faith leaders calling for the abolition of nuclear weapons. But I believe that we have such an important role to play in the movement because of our ability to speak on this issue from the moral and spiritual standpoint. So Ambassador Alexander Kement, he's an Austrian diplomat who has been the leading one of the leading figures in the nuclear disarmament movement. He once stated, and I quote, "If nuclear weapons are discussed only among military experts, it is almost impossible to get out of the idea of nuclear deterrence. You have to bring in the legal perspective, the moral and ethical dimension. You have to bring in the humanitarian community and medical community. You have to bring in different age groups. You have to bring in the survivors and victims. Without this much looking at nuclear weapons from many perspectives, it will be difficult to abolish nuclear weapons. As a matter of ethics, the existence of FBOs or faith-based organizations promoting the abolition of nuclear weapons is also extremely important. It gives people who are not normally interested in nuclear disarmament and an opportunity to think in terms of ethics. The approach to nuclear abolition through conversations may take a long time, but all of this is achieved only through conversations. Through conversations one by one, we will move forward step by step on the road to a world without nuclear weapons. This is the direct path to nuclear abolition, unquote. So governments do understand the importance of nuclear disarmament. So the very first UN resolution was actually about nuclear weapons, and that was in 1946. And then in 1970, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty entered into force. It just celebrated its 55 years, and under that treaty, the 5 original nuclear weapon states committed to nuclear disarmament. And the grand bargain was that while they commit to nuclear disarmament, other countries prescribe to non-proliferation, meaning that they wouldn't acquire nuclear weapons. Although right now we have 9 or 5 nuclear weapon states. However, in recent years, the progress toward nuclear disarmament has stalled, and that has been such a frustration in our movement. At the same time, since around 2010, I would say, governments started to growingly recognize their concerns for the devastating humanitarian impact of nuclear weapons. So they started holding conferences to discuss what harms are caused by nuclear weapons, by listening to the stories of survivors, as well as, listening to the voices of scientists and other experts. And this might sound like no-brainer. When we talk about nuclear weapons, we should talk about human cost of what happens when those weapons are used. But unfortunately, up to that point, most of the discussions, especially at the UN and other international forums, were really not focused on that, and they were more focused on strategy and national security, and vaguely, I think, purposefully kept in a vague conversation to kind of remove it from our human life, to really talk about it in this kind of sterilized way. But it really started to shift about 15 years ago, one focused on national security and strategy to one more focused on human suffering and environmental damage. And the picture that you can see here is one of the conferences held during that time. And I think this one is actually from 2014 in Austria, where International Committee of the Red Cross basically tried to demonstrate how it's not possible to respond to a potential nuclear attack. So that was kind of a way to raise awareness among the diplomats and other people who are at the conference to show the urgency of this issue. And this became the catalyst for the negotiations for the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, or TPNW, which was adopted in 2017. And it is the first international treaty that comprehensively prohibits activities related to nuclear weapons, including the use, possession, production, etc. And there are currently 94 signatories and 73 states parties to the treaty. Now, there are definitely limitations. The big one being that nuclear weapon states are not participating. If anything, they're actually boycotting the treaty. But what's remarkable, I think, about the treaty is that, non-nuclear weapon states, which are really the great majority of the world, decided that there's no need to wait for just the 9 countries to do something about it and hold us hostage. It is strengthening an international norm against nuclear weapons. So, for example, many companies are now choosing to divest from nuclear weapons in related industries. Um, and especially I think security systems based on the nuclear deterrence. Many countries are questioning that. And also another strength about this treaty is that it offers victim assistance and environmental remediation. So state parties to the treaty are now developing a trust fund, international trust fund, where they would pool resources together to support projects that address the concerns of communities affected by nuclear weapons testing, for example. So you might wonder, is it naive to think that we can actually abolish nuclear weapons? Or, they are here to stay forever and, we're somehow supposed to live with the possibility that one day, they might be used and our world will be destroyed. When I hear some people say that, we have to be realistic and that nuclear weapons cannot be eliminated because they are, I don't know, necessary evils. I tend to think that actually we are the realists because I do not believe that living within a security system that depends on the threat of mass annihilation, I don't think that's a good strategy. We have learned that there have been actually many incidents of close calls, as well as some, really disastrous accidents where basically nuclear weapon was dropped by accident and it just, happens that it didn't detonate, for example. So there were so many, instances where we were so close to global catastrophe. And what can I say? We have just been lucky and, maybe some people might say they were divine interventions, who knows, but depending on luck or, divine intervention in this case, I don't think that sounds like a realistic strategy for me. So just like the quote here says, blindly continuing on the current path is a form of madness. The United States, China, and Russia have collective power to destroy civilization. These 3 countries have the prime responsibility to pull the world back from the brink, and they can do so if their leaders seriously commence good faith discussions about the global threats outlined here. Despite their profound disagreements, they should take that first step without delay. The world depends on immediate action. Unquote. And this is from the 2025 Doomsday Clock announcement in January when they set the clock at 89 seconds to midnight. Recently, I was at a conference where experts said that there's actually technical knowledge and skills to dismantle all nuclear weapons in the world safely. It takes about 10 years, they said, but it's possible. So, what we are missing is the political will. And of course, that's an extremely hard one to develop the political will. But I tend to be optimistic and, perhaps because because of my faith. But I truly believe that we as human beings are capable of choosing a better path rather than a future where basically we destroy or, we are destroyed by our own creation. Throughout history, some seemingly impossible changes were made that averted the crisis. So I would say, why not this time? But of course, we have to act. So, you might wonder, well, what is something that, I could do? And, because I know your community value, individual values and, basically deciding your path, I really would like you to also think about, how does your faith or your personal values or community values inform you about nuclear weapons? Are nuclear weapons compatible with what you truly believe in your faith, in your values? How does the issue affect you, even though you may feel like it's somewhere distant? but you might be surprised that, there are connections to issues that you care about, your passions. Some of you might be artists, for example, and they play a significant role in our movement. Some of you might be passionate about climate change, and as I mentioned earlier, there are significant, overlaps between the two issues. They definitely affect each other. Nuclear weapons also affect so many other issues, gender, racism, colonialism. I think there are so many entryways to this issue. And I think most importantly, everything we care about, it could be destroyed if we do not prevent nuclear war. So I would definitely hope that you take the time to inform yourself. And also, I hope you share with your friends, your colleagues, your community about this issue. Like Ambassador Clement said, I think an important task starts with all of us talking, really questioning, is it really true that we need nuclear weapons? Is it really true that nuclear weapons keep us safe? Let's really look at the impact. I think it really starts from there. And then because we are in the community of faith, I also wanted to mention one opportunity, which is called a Nuclear Prayer Day. So I'm part of a interfaith community called Voices for a World Free of Nuclear Weapons, and it's part of the United Religions Initiative founded by Bishop Swing, who used to be the Bishop of California many years ago. And we get together every month to pray for a world free of nuclear weapons, and then we discuss different actions. But we've been commemorating August 6th, the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years as Nuclear Prayer Day, where communities and individuals come together to pray for a world free of nuclear weapons. So if you go to the link, which is basically voices-uri.org. And actually, if you just go to that homepage, there's a button to go to the Nuclear Prayer Day page. You can check out how you can participate. It could be as small as you personally praying for a world free of nuclear weapons, to maybe organizing something in your church or participating in other online events. So we just want to really, create this ripple of people of faith caring about this issue, because I really feel as people who have the spiritual foundation, we have the moral authority to speak on this issue. And the more people know about it, the more people care about it, I think we can get closer to the world without nuclear weapons. So I do encourage you to check that out. And with that, I also wanted to share this quote. This is from my Buddhist teacher, Daisaku Ikeda. He said, "Prayer is not a feeble consolation. It is a powerful, unyielding conviction, and prayer must become manifest in action. To put it another way, if our prayers are in earnest, they will definitely give rise to action." And I really feel, actually my entry point to this issue was through faith. I was not interested in nuclear weapons at all. I was a student of human rights. I think Terry mentioned that in the bio. But because of my faith, I was asked to, when I was much younger in my 20s, I was asked to be a national organizer of university students who practice Buddhism with Soka Gakkai in the United States. And we were leading a campaign where we would talk about nuclear abolition on university campuses. And, honestly, I had no background on this issue, but as I studied about it from a faith perspective, I realized if I care about dignity of life, and if I really believe in each person's possibility to attain enlightenment and to become absolutely happy through revealing our inner potential, then I should care about nuclear weapons, which destroy everything that I believe in. So that's how I became passionate about this issue. And then a few years later, I was recruited to work for this office, and it became my career. But I just truly feel it's a blessing where I can, merge my faith and my passion together, and I call it my vocation. So I really, have this kind of so much appreciation for my faith for also awakening in me, my life's passion. And I truly believe, as Daisaku Ikeda says, if I'm honest about it, if I'm praying about it, I also have to take action. And the action can mean anything. I feel that no action is too small. I think every step we take toward nuclear weapons, we are already creating a future that we want to live. So with that, I wanted to share a video of a survivor before we open up for questions or comments. So let me stop really quick so I can reshare my screen. I have two screens, as I mentioned to Terry, and I'm still learning how to do this. So thank you so much for your patience. And what's my mouse?
It's working.
Okay, great. Wow.
4人の人が担いで上連れて上がって、上では焼け跡がずっと整理してあってね、そこに遺体を並べて、その上から油をまいて、次から次を火をつけて燃やして、その燃やした骨を手のひらに乗るぐらいのわずかな骨を焼けた瓦に乗せて、そこに書いてあるのがね、性別男子、年齢どれくらい、身長どれくらいとか、ずらーっと瓦に乗せられた骨が並べられてて、それを文字を探す人たちが見つからんかった人たちがそこへ来て、その骨を見て回るんですけど、もう皆燃やしてしまってわずかな骨でね、これが自分が探してる骨だって分かりようがないですよね。私の場合は明くる月ぐらいから生理みたいな出血が始まったんですね。そしてそれが止まらんで30日も40日もそういう生理のような状態が続いて、4、5日収まったか思ったらまた始まってっていうのが3ヶ月か4ヶ月ぐらい続いたんです。そしてその挙句に今度は骨が痛いっていう状態が起きて、いつも骨が痛いよ骨が痛いよって言ってたんですけど、広島長崎ピースフライトっていうとこからアメリカに行くっていうのがあったんですよ。でそこへ日本人の男性の被爆者と女性の被爆者と、そこへ外国人の被爆者っていうのが一人私に声がかかってアメリカに昭和62年の夏に行ったんですけどね、核実験反対の署名を集めたもんとか、その時荒木さんが市長さんだったんだけど、その市長さんとしてのアピールとかをね持って国務省を訪ねたんですね。そしたら国務省の役人が若い俳優さんにでもなってもおかしないようなかっこのいい役人が出てきてね、パイプの椅子を買って広げて座って中足をこうやって組んでね、従前と座ってその長谷川さんっていう牧師さんがね、被爆者としての用を言ったんですよ。そしたらそれを正当化することばっかりを言ってるんですね。政治の場でも何でもないんだよ、被爆して苦しんだ人がね、そ それでも自分の人生返せよんじゃない、地球が救いたい、人類が救いたい言うて言おるのに、あんた何ちゅうことを言うねんみたいな思いをしながら、イライラしながら聞いてたんですけど、最後の方でね、広島長崎へ原爆を落としたことは決して間違いじゃなかったし、そのために戦争が早終わって少なくとも20万という兵隊の命が救われたんだって言われたのね。それ言われた時に私はもうね、頭の毛が全部逆らってないんでしょうけど、私の思いでは髪の毛が全部逆らった思いをして、そして私はそこでしたことは抗議も何にも要せんと泣くしかなかったんです。息ができんぐらいにしゃくれ上げて泣いたんですけど、そこから出てきてね、私はいろんな平和行動に参加しながら、平和行動って私はそれまで特別な人がするもんだと思ってたんです。私らには関係のないみたいな感じで生きてきたのに、する一切であればどんな形ででもできるんだっていうことも気づかされたし、なんかお返しせにゃならんみたいな思いからこの被爆体験が始まったんですね。自分を育てるという行動を意識してやってほしいと思うんですよ。今恵まれた場所でそれができるはずですからね。ご自分の意識さえ変えれば、ご自分をどこまででも成長させていけると思いますのでね、その作業を頑張ってしてほしいと思います。
So, with that, I just really want to thank you so much for your long attention. And yeah, excited to hear, what thoughts are provoked in you or any comments. So I also want to learn from you. So thank you so much once again for this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Anna. It was a wonderful presentation, and I'm grateful that you included the video. It is very moving. Shows us that, yeah, why the necessity for all of us to be involved. I guess I was also very impressed with the fact that you're showing how your faith can be used to motivate you and to inspire you. And I think that's one thing that we try to do within our Unitarian tradition as well, but we often end up fighting over just exactly what social cause to support. So I'm glad to hear us all become more aware of how important it is. So I'll give you a short break while I do some sort of the the commercial advertisements, and then we'll get back to you. Um, so let me first of all share my screen. And I hope you can see the first slide there. And oh dear, oh dear, I am having trouble here. Let me stop here. Let me just see. Okay. So can you see the screen with the title screen? Okay, thank you.
Your slide is visible.
Yeah, okay. And now why does it not go forward when I press? No. Well, this is a disaster. I cannot move this, advance my slide. Why not?
I think
Oh,
there's a place to say create slideshow or something to acknowledge that it's a slideshow towards the top of the screen.
okay, thank you.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Joyce, can you help me out maybe and take over?
Have you pushed the forward arrow on the bottom left-hand side of the
Yeah.
screen? You have. Yeah.
I am pushing it, yeah, and it just doesn't want to.
Yes. You might have to go out of it and do what the other fellow said.
Okay.
Hit slide show. Oh, it's going.
It's going now. Yeah, things are moving now.
You're in business.
Sorry about that. I've only got one more, and if I don't get to it, it's not the end of the world. So, a little commercial for what's upcoming. The mythology course continues. How can it form our future on April the 12th? I think this is the sixth in the series, but they are allowing people to join just for one event if they wish, and there's usually some reading so you can catch up. On our April 19th, our third Saturday worship service, Bob Simone, who many of you will know, is going to talk about life after death, a topic that is going to be approaching all of us. And then on the first Wednesday, the NAU drop-in circle discussion. There's a number of circles going within the NAUA, but most of them, when you join, you're kind of committed to being there for a certain topic or a certain timeline. And but the drop-in is kind of a just get to know other NA Unitarians. So you're welcome to drop in and see that. And finally, the vision for a liberal religion with Dr. Matthew Shear is our upcoming Academy presentation. And Matthew is with us tonight, and he's been a lay Unitarian minister for a number of years, and he's going to sort of try to see, you know, where can we go with liberal religion in a time when liberalism seems to be being eclipsed by authoritarianism and all kinds of different circles. So I'm sure it'll be a great presentation, and I hope that we will see you there. And the Academy is taking an academic break after May's session, and I hope that we will, quote, see you in September. And if you have any suggestions for next season's Academy sessions, please contact the Academy Advisory Board, and you can see the email down below, or any of the members on that committee. And though they are Stephen Palmer, Kent Ing, Joyce Francis, Bruce Knott, myself, and Mark Reimers. So with that, let me stop the screen share. At least I know how to stop it. And turn the microphone over.